In the early morning, I found myself embarking on a journey to South Korea, a week of potential adventures and unknowns ahead of me. Leaving the warm embrace of Hawaii, my partner Colleen bid me a teasing farewell, suggesting I might find some fun with the local Korean girls. But I knew better, knowing South Korea to be a strict society, a place where free-spirited fun wasn't as easy to come by. My mission was simple yet intricate. I was tasked with the delivery of Army computer tapes to South Korea, a task that required complexity, precision, and a dash of international diplomacy. In my possession, I had 2 first-class tickets for a jumbo jet, one for me and one for the tapes, along with a card that would let me bypass any bureaucratic red tape. But I wasn't alone on this journey. Lieutenant Dauphiné had another plan in mind. He was sending Vince, my backup, on a separate route. Vince was a bit green, but this would be his chance to prove his mettle, to experience the thrill of a mission, all while staying out of sight. The first leg of my journey took me to the breathtaking Honolulu International Air Terminals, a place where waterfalls and little rivers painted a picture of serenity. As I passed a gate to Tahiti, I couldn't help but feel a pang of longing. But my mission was clear, and so I boarded the plane, ready for the flight to Narita, near Tokyo. As the plane took off over the ocean, I took a moment to look around, searching for Vince, but all I could see was a sea of faces hidden behind newspapers. I returned to my seat, finding solace in the silent company of the tapes, their secrets locked away in a language they didn't understand. A fine lunch was served, and I spent some time reviewing computer programs, immersing myself in the world of codes and data. The stewardess, a friendly face in the sea of strangers, joined me, sharing tales of the world beyond the plane's window. Upon landing at Narita, my Army ID granted me swift passage, and soon I found myself on a commuter flight to Osaka. A night in a hotel awaited me, and then it would be off to Seoul. Osaka greeted me with the sight of a baseball stadium near my hotel. I decided to take in a game, reveling in the familiar sport played in a foreign land. I thought I caught a glimpse of Vince across the stadium, but I couldn't be sure. All I knew was that the journey had just begun, and the real adventure was yet to unfold. As I settled into my hotel room that night, I knew that the days ahead would be filled with challenges and surprises. But for now, I was just a traveler, enjoying a baseball game in Osaka, waiting for the next leg of my journey to South Korea. And so, the story of the Army computer tapes continues, a tale of travel, adventure, and the important role of technology in our modern world. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be an Army intelligence officer in a foreign country during a time of tension? Imagine it's 1971, you're in South Korea, and your mission is to deliver computer tapes of the Army supply and intelligence systems to 2 Army forts. For a young man named Patrick, this was his reality. He arrived in Seoul and quickly learned about the city's 11 p.m. curfew. The streets, bustling with life one moment, turned eerily quiet the next. Patrick, with a heavy load of tapes to deliver, found temporary refuge in an unlikely place, a local brothel. From there, he navigated his way to the Army Transient Center, just next door. With a quick shout-out to his hiding colleague Vince, he crossed the alley and settled in for the night. The following morning brought a sobering walk through a part of town where the homes were crumbling, and the streets were a chaotic symphony of people, bicycles, and carts. The smell of waste, an unfortunate side effect of the city's sewage system, was ever present. Patrick's first stop was the main fort. Upon arrival, he successfully delivered the computer tapes to his American counterparts. They copied the tapes, returned the originals, and confirmed that everything worked on their RCA computer. With one delivery down and the day still young, Patrick skipped the hotel and made his way to the train station. He boarded an old train for a 300-mile journey south to Tagu, a backup fort nestled in the tension-filled landscape near the DMZ. Patrick's journey was not just a physical one, but a journey through the realities of a foreign land during a time of tension. It was a journey that required quick thinking, adaptability, and a sense of humor. It was a journey in service of his country, and a journey that would leave a lasting impression on him. In the end, Patrick's mission was a success. He delivered the tapes, navigated through unexpected challenges, and experienced a part of the world that was vastly different from his own. Through it all, he remained committed to his mission, proving that even in the face of uncertainty and tension, success is possible.
Have you ever wondered what it feels like to be a young soldier in a foreign land? Picture this. It's 1971 and you're Patrick, a fresh-faced army soldier stationed in South Korea. Your mission is simple yet crucial. Deliver computer tapes of the army supply and intelligence system to various army forts in this foreign land. As you ride the train, you can't help but notice the stark poverty that pervades the landscape. An elderly woman sings a lullaby in a language that's foreign to your ears. The sight of villagers cooking in their humble pots tugs at your heartstrings. This is a culture steeped in tradition yet shackled by the weight of its past. Your inability to understand the local language only heightens your sense of isolation, so you turn to your computer programs for comfort. You stroll up and down the length of the train searching for a familiar face. Vince. He's part of your mission, yet he's nowhere to be found. Perhaps he's successfully evading you, or maybe you've managed to give him the slip back in Seoul. The train pulls into Taegu, and a flurry of passengers disembark. You squint into the distance, hoping to spot Vince among the crowd, but to no avail. The taxis have all sped off, leaving you with an ox cart as your only mode of transportation. As you make the long journey to the fort, you can't shake off the beggars trailing behind you. The fort is a stark contrast to the hustle and bustle of Seoul. It's remote, desolate, and predominantly manned by the Republic of Korea personnel. You deliver the supply tapes and inform them of your extended stay, not mentioning the intelligence tapes. The living conditions in the barracks are a far cry from what you've seen back in Hawaii. With the curfew fast approaching, you're left stranded, wondering if you'll have to trek all the way back to Taegu for a hotel. As you stand outside the gates of the fort, your eyes are drawn to the camouflage planes and tanks just a stone's throw away. They're so conspicuously placed that anyone could spot them from the ground, and yet the one person you're supposed to find, Vince, remains elusive. Reflecting on these experiences, Patrick realized the gravity of his mission and the stark contrast between his world and the one he was immersed in. It was not just about delivering tapes. It was a journey into the unknown, a test of his resilience, and a glimpse into a world far removed from his own. It was an experience that would shape him in ways he could never have anticipated.
In the twilight of 1971, our protagonist, Patrick, found himself in the bustling vicinity of a South Korean military base. His mission? To deliver computer tapes of the Army supply and intelligence system to a fort. A task that was simple in theory, yet complex in execution. The tapes were concealed within an unassuming luggage bag mingling with Patrick's everyday attire. It was a game of hide-and-seek where the seeker was the elusive Vince tasked with intercepting Patrick's precious cargo. The night was cool, foggy, and adorned with a full moon that pierced through the mist, eerily reminiscent of the Korean postcards Patrick had seen. The town was alive with activity, yet Patrick felt a sense of isolation. He found solace in a tailor shop getting measured for a light leather jacket, a bluish-black shield against the cool Korean nights. Then back into the labyrinth of streets he ventured, past the open sewer trenches and the pungent smell of Korea's favorite dish, stuffed cabbage. A proposition from a local girl led him to a restaurant, a haven amidst the chaos. The menu was incomprehensible, the chatter of Korean soldiers unintelligible, and Patrick felt his isolation deepening. But then, like a beacon in the fog, he heard perfect English. A voice that was both familiar and foreign, a voice that had been waiting for him. Turning around, he was met with the youthful visage of an Amerasian girl, her beauty a testament to the harmonious blend of her heritage. Patrick, ever the quick thinker, introduced himself as her miracle man. As they exchanged stories, she revealed a connection to Patrick's predecessor, a man who'd promised to help her when she turned 18, a promise cut short by the harsh realities of war. Patrick, now intertwined with the fate of this girl, promised to discuss her situation, unknowingly stepping into a web of intrigue. As the conversation flowed, the night deepened and the weight of the tapes in Patrick's bag grew heavier. What would become of Patrick and the Amerasian girl? What was the real story behind her connection to the previous man? And would Patrick manage to deliver the tapes safely amidst these unexpected turns of events? The answers remain veiled in the mists of the Korean night, awaiting the dawn of a new day. But for now, the story pauses here, leaving us yearning for the unraveling of this intricate tapestry.
Imagine being trapped in a place you didn't want to be. A place where you were constantly reminded that you didn't belong. Would you sit quietly, or would you fight for a way out? This was the reality for our young waitress, trapped in a society that refused to accept her mixed heritage. As the night wore on, the restaurant filled with patrons. Among them, Patrick, a young Army intelligence officer. His keen, observational skills were not lost on the mysterious waitress serving him his steak dinner. Her movements were graceful, her English impeccable, but there was a certain sadness in her eyes that spoke volumes about her life. In the meantime, our officer's friend Vince had disappeared down a hallway, a new adventure in his sights. Patrick, left alone with his thoughts, started piecing together the puzzle that was the waitress. Her round eyes, her fluency in English, her height, all clues pointing towards her mixed heritage. Soon, the waitress was sitting across from Patrick, her shift finally over. She looked tired, yet there was a sense of relief in her eyes. Patrick, ever the observant officer, decided to share his hypothesis. "You want to escape," he said, the conviction in his voice surprising even himself. He went on to detail her life, her struggle, her dreams, all deduced from his careful observations. When he finally finished, she looked at him, stunned into silence. After a moment, she managed to find her voice. "Are you a spy or something?" she asked, her eyes wide with curiosity and a hint of fear. Patrick smirked. "No, well, maybe you?" he replied, leaving the question hanging in the air, and us wondering, what will happen next?
So there it was, two souls, worlds apart, connecting in a dimly lit eatery in South Korea. A young Army intelligence officer named Patrick and a waitress longing for a world without prejudice, a world that would accept her for who she is. She was a half-breed, not fully Korean, not fully American, stuck in a limbo that was both her home and her prison. Patrick, on the other hand, was a stranger in a foreign land, tasked with an assignment he didn't fully understand, yet he was drawn to the waitress's plight. Her story was not just a tale of a girl yearning for freedom, it was a testament to the human spirit's indomitable will to seek a better life. Patrick's offer to take her to a place where she would be accepted, where her mixed heritage wouldn't be a curse but a blessing, was a beacon of hope that cut through the fog of her despair. It was a promise of a future where she wouldn't have to hide in the shadows, where she could stand tall and proud, unashamed of her lineage. But the road to freedom was fraught with obstacles. The mere act of leaving the country was a daunting task, a labyrinth of bureaucratic red tape and societal norms that sought to keep her shackled to her old life. Yet, the waitress was ready to take the leap, ready to risk it all for a chance at a new life. Their conversation, their connection, was a spark that ignited a flame of hope, a flame that would guide them through the darkness, a beacon that would light their path to freedom. The waitress's smile was a testament to this newfound hope, a testament to the power of human connection. And so, with a silent agreement and a shared smile, they embarked on their journey. A journey that would test their resolve, challenge their beliefs, and ultimately redefine their destinies. A journey that would prove that no matter how far apart we may seem, we are all connected by the threads of humanity. The story of Patrick and the waitress is not just a tale of two individuals, it's a testament to the power of hope and the indomitable spirit of humanity. It's a journey that reminds us that no matter where we come from, no matter our circumstances, we all have the power to change our destinies. So remember, no matter how dark the night, there is always a beacon of hope, a beacon that can guide us to a better future.
Imagine yourself, a young intelligence officer named Patrick, stationed in South Korea in 1971. One day you find yourself in conversation with a local waitress. Her beauty is striking, a harmonious blend of East and West. She's in dire need of help, and you feel compelled to lend a hand. "I do care," you tell her confidently, "and I'm going to help you." Your conversation is filled with unspoken emotions, a silent understanding passing between your eyes. You suggest a call to Hawaii to check in and discuss the situation further. The green card process needs to start soon. You're aware of the quotas and restrictions, but you're determined to help this enigmatic woman. She guides you upstairs to a phone, mentioning her mother's absence. You inquire about her stepfather, but she dismisses the topic. You dial your base in Seoul to relay the call. "Lieutenant Dauphiné speaking," a voice answers on the other side. You greet him with your code, DA43. The casual conversation flows, discussing your recent work, the safekeeping of tapes, and a fellow officer named Vince. But you're calling a day early. There's something else on your mind. "I have a puzzle for you," you say, launching into the story of the Amerasian woman, a product of the Korean War, on the brink of turning 18. She's already applied for a green card at the embassy in Seoul, looking to escape her current life. You mention she possesses photos asked by your predecessor, DA42, and intriguingly, she's some sort of genius. Your superior commends your heart. You could have easily turned her down, but instead, you chose to help. He promises to expedite her green card application and advises you to find her stepfather, offering him $300 to sign her over. It's a hefty sum, more than he'd make in 2 years. This is a narrative of compassion, courage, and determination. It's a tale of a young officer stepping beyond his duties to help a stranger, navigating the complexities of bureaucracy, and offering a lifeline to a young woman desperate for a chance at a better life. It's a testament to humanity's capacity to care and the lengths one will go to lend a hand.
As the phone line went dead, the room was filled with a deafening silence. Patrick's mind spun, processing what Lieutenant Dauphiné had just said. He was in a foreign land, navigating a delicate situation, a cultural labyrinth that could change the course of his life and perhaps the fate of a nation. Imagine owning another human being. It was a concept that was alien to Patrick, and yet here he was, about to step into this unfamiliar territory. And all for a young woman, a waitress, who might hold the key to some vital intelligence. "Sometimes these things pan out, and sometimes they don't," Lieutenant Dauphiné had said. But what if it did? What if this young woman, with her penchant for looking out of windows and taking pictures, held the missing piece of a larger puzzle? The stakes were high, higher than they had ever been. And yet there was something more. A personal stake in this. The unspoken implication of a bond stronger than marriage, a bond that would be valid only in Korea. Would this bond mean more to her? Would it change the dynamic between them? Only time would tell. Patrick knew he had a job to do. He had to get that piece of paper, he had to convince Sung Lee, he had to get out of Korea, and he had to get her into the US. It was a daunting task, but he was ready. He had Lieutenant Dauphiné's instructions, his connections, and his own determination. But there was one last piece of the puzzle. What was in those photos she had taken? What had caught her eye? What had she seen that had made her take those pictures? The curiosity was overwhelming. As Patrick prepared for the journey ahead, he knew he was stepping into the unknown, but he was ready to face whatever came his way, ready to unravel the mysteries that lay ahead. And as he walked out of the room, he couldn't help but wonder what the future held for him. And just as he was about to close the door, he spotted something, a glimpse of a photograph hidden under a stack of papers. What could it be? What secrets did it hold? The answers to these questions, however, would have to wait for another day. For now, Patrick had a mission to complete. And so our journey continued.
Have you ever found yourself in a strange situation, helping someone you barely know? It's a peculiar experience, one that young Army Intelligence Officer Patrick found himself in, back in the year 1971, in the heart of South Korea. The tale unfolds as a conversation between Patrick and a Korean-American waitress who intriguingly gazes out of the window, searching for the ordinary trucks that pass by once in a blue moon. Patrick, with a heart ready to assist, offers to visit her stepfather the next day, an offer she accepts with a surprising twist. She cheekily claims that Patrick is going to own her for life, a notion he promptly rejects. The dialogue takes an interesting turn as the waitress acknowledges Patrick's willingness to help her, stating that she sensed his inherent good nature. Patrick admits that his life seems to be a series of strange circumstances, where he finds himself assisting caring and beautiful women. A subtle hint of romance lingers in the air as she mentions that they will be as good as married, a claim that Patrick softly refutes, reminding her of his existing relationships. The conversation reveals more about their unique personalities. The waitress, sharp and resilient, accepts Patrick's complicated love life with a simple, "What's one more?" Patrick, on the other hand, is impressed by her sharp wit, even suggesting she might be a spy, a claim she denies. As the night grows deeper, the reality of their situation sinks in. Patrick has nowhere to sleep, a problem the waitress swiftly solves by offering him an empty, clean room. Their conversation ends with Patrick giving her a magazine, a sneak peek into the world of Hawaii, a place she might soon call home. As the night falls, the soft, enchanting flute music playing somewhere adds a magical touch to their peculiar circumstances. The waitress thanks Patrick with a light kiss on the lips, leaving him with a sense of accomplishment and a hint of the unexpected romance that might be blossoming. The implications of this conversation are profound. For Patrick, it reinforces his role as a helper, a protector, a man destined to assist those in need. For the waitress, it offers a glimmer of hope, a potential escape from her current circumstances and the promise of a new life in Hawaii. This exchange, filled with wit, humor, and an undercurrent of romance, highlights the power of communication and the unexpected connections we form in the most unusual circumstances.